Now, for more on what this means for U.S.-Israel relations and the Middle East as a whole, we're also joined now by Eric Mandel, the founder and director of the Middle East Political Information Network, as well as the senior editor for security at Jerusalem Report. Eric, there's a lot of talk for a new Middle East. That's what our correspondent was just talking about from the Capitol. But can that really happen by this 1 week visit? What else needs to happen during this visit to secure truly this big victory in the big picture?
So I think Prime Minister Netanyahu really has to convince President Trump that all of these decisions that are being made are that what Israel needs and what Israel wants and what is good for America is regional stability, whether we're talking about Iran or Lebanon, Gaza. But there are so many moving parts here. And nothing's going to be totally resolved, with the exception of maybe pressure from President Trump on Prime Minister Netanyahu to maybe concede points on Gaza, basically telling Bibi, hey, I was there for you in Iran. Now I need payback. I want quiet there. And Gaza is a quagmire. It's turned into a guerrilla war. I think the Israelis, it's not just the reserve soldiers who are going back 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, but it's also the young conscripted soldiers who are dying. And in a guerrilla war, this is not going to play out well in the long run. So I think there's going to be some ceasefire deal. I think it's a mistake to make a partial ceasefire deal because Hamas is never going to give up all its hostages. And again, President Trump has to be convinced by Prime Minister Netanyahu that they're on the same page. When I heard just a little while ago Prime Minister Netanyahu's remarks, it was so clear. He repeated basically in one way or another, no daylight between us, never stronger, the trust between them. And so going forward here, whether it's Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Iran, and each one of those is problematic and not straightforward. Bibi wants to put the best face on it and is hoping the president doesn't turn against him. And I think he's going to have to acquiesce and accept what President Trump wants on Gaza.
Well, speaking of the relationship that we're seeing between both Trump and Netanyahu, Netanyahu nominated Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. What is the significance of this? What else does this act in itself show about these two relationships?
Well, truth be told, I think the Abraham Accords merited, and maybe that would have been Jared Kushner back a few years ago, at least the nomination, if not the Nobel Peace Prize, where people said it could not happen until there was resolution of the Palestinian issue. I think this President Trump getting from Bibi Netanyahu this nomination is to curry favor. I don't think I think it's pretty transparent what it is. But I will tell you is if Prime Minister Netanyahu can create in the path of normalization between Israel and Lebanon, between Israel and Syria, or could add on, who knows, Azerbaijan as low-hanging fruit for the Abraham Accords, or maybe even Qatar, a very problematic player, then the president may merit a prize. Unfortunately, I don't think the people who vote on this are going to be very favorable to President Trump.
All right. Big news always coming out of Washington. Eric Mandel, thank you so much for joining us on The Rundown this evening.